Hi there, welcome to my channel. This is Medeaij, and today's video is going to be the fourth part of my eyeshadow palette collection and declutter. So this time we're going to be tackling this layer. So this layer has my Morphe palettes, my Beauty Bay palettes, and my Urban Decay palettes. Urban Decay is a brand that I've always found difficult to declutter. Hopefully, I'm not gonna end up keeping everything because I really do need to downsize, but hopefully we can go through all of them. Please check out part one if you want to know what I'm doing with my decluttered eyeshadow palettes, why I'm even decluttering, and all of that good stuff. And please check out part two, three as well to see how far I've come. Everything will be linked in the description box as well. Now, if you haven't subscribed and you love eyeshadow palettes, you love declutters, you love beauty, fragrances, fashion, just feeling and looking good, I definitely do a lot of top tips as well and product recommendations. So definitely follow me anyway. We have fun on this channel. Anyway, without further rambling, I'm trying to delay it because I'm dreading what this is. But anyway, let's jump right in. First, let's scoot this one out of the way. So the first eyeshadow palette is my Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I didn't pick up this palette when it first came out. I want to say that I picked it up sometime this year, maybe. Or maybe no, I think sometime this year or last year. So I didn't pick this palette up when it first came out because I really like the colors, I really like the tones, but at the time, I felt like Urban Decay was releasing a lot of the same eyeshadow palettes. And I had a lot of the Vice palettes, which I've since decluttered, so I just wasn't feeling it. But in picking it up, I find this to be a really easy, work appropriate, daytime type of eyeshadow palette. You can easily transform from daytime to nighttime. You've got some beautiful jewel tone colors, some pops of color as well, some beautiful blending colors. So I do find joy in this one. It's very versatile as well. Like I can get a multitude of looks using this palette. So I'm definitely going to keep this one. Right, so let's do my Naked palette. This one is the Naked 3 palette. Now I've decluttered the original Naked. I've decluttered my Naked 2. Naked 2 to me was the worst one, personally, because it didn't really work for my skin tone. At least the worst one that I had. It didn't work for my skin tone. However, I did find a lot of joy in Naked 3. I feel like this to me screamed bridal. There were so many beautiful light rose tones in this palette, plus that end shade called Dark Heart. Very beautiful. I've created some very beautiful looks using this eyeshadow palette, but I can categorically say that for the entire year of 2021, I have not used this palette. So because of that, we're going to say bye. And then I've got the Naked Heat palette, and I love the packaging of this one. And this is what it looks like. Obviously, you can see the nice warm tones. This was my go-to palette of 2020. I use this a lot, especially for everyday work looks. You can get so many neutral shadows. You can also get so many smoky looks, so many warm tone looks. This is perfect for fall as well. For me, it's a very versatile all year round palette. And I did mention, I believe it's in my first part, that I was going to keep this one because I decluttered. Or was it? No. Was it this one or the cherry? I don't know. Anyway, I'm keeping this one because I really do like this palette. Speaking of the Naked Cherry, this is what she looks like. Very similar to the Naked Heat in terms of style of packaging. And this is what it looks like inside. This as well was my go-to palette of 2020. I definitely enjoyed the looks. that I did use in this palette, and I love the tones of this palette. And I did declutter my Coastal Scents version of this palette. I think it's the Reveal Rouge, so I'm keeping. And then my favorite from the Naked series is definitely the Honey palette. I mean, look at it. Look at it. It's so pretty. And this is what it looks like on the inside. The tones are gorgeous. I've used this recently, and I absolutely love it. That color called Honey and the color called Queen, stunning. I did say I wasn't gonna swatch anything. I told myself no swatching, but I'm so tempted. But anyway, I'm keeping this one because she's fabulous. And then next up, I've got the Game of Thrones eyeshadow palette. Now I'm gonna tell you a very shocking fact. I have not seen one single episode of the Game of Thrones. Not one single episode. Never. And I still won't because I don't enjoy, at least I don't think I'd enjoy, I don't know, I just haven't, but I do enjoy the gimmick of the eyeshadow palette. This is supposed to be the famous throne, and that pops out, which looks really cute. There's a mirror. It's just a very bulky palette. That's the only negative. And because it's so bulky, I don't really reach for the eyeshadow part. But looking at it, it's stunning. Like, there's so many shades here I haven't used, and you can look at them as different color stories. So you've got this, this, and that. And I'm going to keep this because I do feel like I want to pay homage to the eyeshadow palette, because I honestly do think that this is probably my favorite packaging. Though it's bulky, it's still my favorite packaging style from Urban Decay, and they've gone through a lot of packaging styles. I feel like this one was very bang on theme. It also came with a highlighter, which I believe I either still have or I've decluttered. I'm not sure, but I do like this one. So basically, I'm keeping it. All right, this is where it's gonna start getting crazy. So these are my Morphe 9-pan palettes. I have quite a few, there I say, and I haven't used a lot of them. So the first one is the 9J. Do you know what? When I bought these palettes, if I had known that Morphe was gonna actually come out a couple of weeks later with the same palette and different packaging, I'd have probably held off. Because I did mention in my video that I kind of wish that they had colored packaging to differentiate them. And guess what? Morphe came out with colored packaging. Ridiculous. Anyway, this is the 9J palette, and for me, it reminds me a lot of the Juvia's Place Morphe's palette, the Sweet Pinks palette. Like, if they had a baby, it would be this palette. I have not used this one at all, but she's gorgeous, and yeah, she's not leaving. She isn't. This one is the 9i palette. This one I've used one or two. This one I have used one or two colors of. This is a 9i palette. It's a very cool tone blue type of eyeshadow, and I think from memory the shadows felt stiff, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this. I mean, it's a very easy cool tone palette to use, but I don't know. So we're going to put her over here as a maybe. And then this one is the 9T palette. Now this one's pretty old. I've had this one for a little while now, and I do love this one. It's a beautiful neutral eyeshadow palette. Love the browns, love the black. It's an everyday easy palette. I do forget about it a lot because, again, when palettes are in like black packaging, it's a little bit of an effort to open it. I don't know. It's just psychological, I guess. And then this one is the 9L palette. So this is the lilac. I think it's the lilac palette. No, this is the Lavandaise palette. Again, another new palette I haven't used. Again, it reminds me of the Juvia's Place, the violets, and the Juvia's Place. What's that purple one? It's part of their holiday collection. Can't remember the name off the top of my head, but if the two of them had a baby, it would be this one. Still keeping it though. And this one doesn't have the names on it. Some of them do, some of them don't. This one doesn't, which is a little bit irritating because I do like names. This one is the 9W Smoke and Shadow, which looks like this. I believe this is the one that I didn't enjoy. I think I pulled this into a shop my stash and I didn't really enjoy it. I can't remember, but it's cool tone. For me, I feel like it's the answer to the, is this Smoke Show? Smoke something palette from Colourpop. This one has names on it, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to put it in maybe because I'm not sure if it's the one I'm thinking about. This is my 9K palette, which looks like this. I believe I picked this up. Do you know what? With COVID and everything, I don't even know where I'm going and where I'm coming. Maybe the end of last year, probably. But for me, this is the answer to the Huda Beauty Khaki palette. Is that what it's called? Anyway, it's very pretty. Very, very pretty palette. Very, very pretty. This one as well, no name, but I'm keeping. And then this one is the Painted Desert 9D palette. This one's pretty old, but this one reminds me of the Colourpop Yes Please palette. Reminds me a lot of it. I don't think they make that palette anymore from Colourpop, so anyway, I'm keeping it. Because at this point, why am I getting rid of it? They still perform. So I'm going to quickly look at these ones. I'm going to keep these two for now. Maybe not. I don't know. Should I? Okay, I'm going to keep the 9W Smoke and Shadow because I don't think I have anything like it at the moment. My least favorite is probably this one with the blue because I don't feel like there's anything special. So I'm gonna declutter this one. So we have the longer Morphe palettes. I do have a few of these. This is the 18T palette. So it just means like an 18 pan palette. And the T is the Truth or Bear. Is it Truth or Bear? Yeah, Truth or Bear palette. I do have a date night tutorial using this palette, I believe, on my YouTube channel, and I enjoy this palette. I feel like I get along with Morphe formula most times, and this one is a really good palette. You can see it's been used as well. And that's the thing about me. Once I find a palette I love, I'll keep using it. So love that one, keeping. This one is the 18S palette. This was when I was still marking the year that I bought my palette. So this is 2020 purchase. And this is 18S, which is Sunset Beats. I tell you some. July, so it's over a year. Over a year, and I still over a year, and I still haven't used it. Poor. I do have another Morphe palette which is similar to this, so I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this one. It's pretty though. I'm not a fan of that pressed glitter in there. Okay, let's put this in the maybe. So the next one is 18B, again, July 2020. And this is the Making Bank. I've used this one. I've pulled this one into Shop My Stash. A lot of YouTubers and content creators really love this palette, and because it's pretty. Those khaki colors are absolutely gorgeous. But I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this one either, because the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette, it kind of reminds me of that color story. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep this. Like, it gets really hard. When it comes to Morphe palettes, you guys, it gets really hard because, one, I love Morphe's formula, but sometimes it just gets really hard. This one's another July 2020 purchase, and this is the Talking Flirty 18F. Oh yeah, I've used this one. This one kind of reminds me of the Norvina palette. Yeah, ever so lightly. It reminds me of the Norvina palette. There is another palette that I think I said it reminds me of. I can't remember, but yeah, I'm keeping this one because it's just pretty. We'll come back to these after I've gone through it. All right, so these are the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palettes. I did have the Vault, but then I gave it away. I gave it to my sister because it was just not working for me. But she loves them. So I've since then repurchased two of the palettes that I actually really like. And the first one is Bling Boss, which I'm yet to use, which looks like this. You can see that the color, oh, I lie, I've used one of the shades, but it's so pretty. Or maybe I swatched it, I don't know. Anyway, it's so pretty. I really like this one, so I purchased this one. And when I purchased these palettes, they were about, what, £5 or something? So definitely keeping. One is the Dark Magics palette, and I've used this one quite a lot. So this is the grungy looking one. I love combining this one with other green inspired eyeshadow palettes just to elevate it a little bit, and it works really, really well. This is such a good palette. I don't know if they reformulated it. I want to say that they did, because these ones pick up a lot better on the brush and they blend a lot better. So that's my theory. I do think that they reformulated them. And then I've got this one. This is the Maddie Ziegler eyeshadow palette. This is the Imagination palette. I do have a look on my Instagram using this palette, and this was when Morphe was really coming out with eyeshadow palettes. Like, it was so difficult to keep up, so I've only used this palette a handful of times, but the handful of times that I used it, I fully enjoyed it because the quality is so good. Like, the quality of this eyeshadow palette is fantastic. So because of that, I already knew I was going to struggle to get rid of anything. So I'm keeping this one. I know there's a lot of keeps, but this isn't a declutter marathon. This one is the Madison Beer eyeshadow palette. Now, if you are a neutral girl or you're looking for a neutral palette, this is her. This palette is my fallback eyeshadow palette when I want more variety. I love the ABH Soft Glam palette, don't get me wrong, but I don't get that much variety when it comes to brown shades, when it comes to additional cool tone shades. I get that in this palette. The shimmer shadows as well, you get a variety of them. The quality of this, child, the quality of this, whatever Morphe did to this eyeshadow palette, I need them to reciprocate to all the other palettes. Not that Morphe formula is not great. This one is fantabulous. Brilliant. I will never get rid of it, and I'm keeping it. Definitely keeping that one. This one was a 2021 purchase, I believe. This is the Live with Love eyeshadow palette, and I purchased this palette to support the cause. That's one. I got it on discount, like heavy discount. My girl, Makeup for Days, hooked me up, told me about the sale, and I already told you guys, Morphe does some of the most incredible sales, but they don't really actively promote them. You definitely need to either sign up for email notification or you just frequently go to their website. And this is a freaking beauty. I am yet to dip my brush into this one, but honey, you can't tell me nothing. Like, this is a beauty. So she is not going anywhere. In as much as I haven't used it, I don't care. Now, this one is the main event 24M palette. This was in collaboration with Mama Mitchell, and there is another influencer that I can't remember her name. But I liked the idea of this palette. Ooh. I like the idea of this palette. Mine came slightly broken, so one of the shades came slightly broken. Anyway, I like the idea of this palette. There are just a few things in this palette that I can't get behind. So one being the press glitters. Like, no. Can we stop with the press glitters? Like, sometimes I don't mind, but then sometimes they're really annoying when you put way too many. So in this palette, there are 5 press glitters already. That kind of pisses me off, which means there are not that many transition shades. And then these shades at the bottom, they're all eyeliner shades. So they're water activated eyeliner shades. So I don't know if you can use them as eyeshadows. Clearly, you can see I haven't used mine. But I already decluttered a similar eyeshadow palette to this, I think. I'm not sure. I want to keep this because I don't think you can get your hands on this anymore. Unless if you want to purchase this, definitely message me. Because I bought it full price when it came out because I wanted to support the influencers. So definitely message me if you are interested, but it's not one that I'm going to put on my Depop or put on Instagram stories. It's just gonna sit in my collection. And if I do use it, I do use it. I'm not really pressed. And now in the land of ooh, we are now in the land of Natasha Denona. Natasha, do you know what? I can't believe that I'm actually collecting some of these Natasha Denona palettes. Like, some of these palettes are mortgage level. They're so expensive. I'm kidding. They are. So this one is the all neutral Biba palette. And I love this palette. I love it. I love it. There is another one that I want, the one with the green. Can't remember the name now, but the one that looks like this in terms of palette size, but is green. The packaging is green. Can't remember. Anyway, I like this palette. I love this palette. I feel like it's a beautiful everyday neutral types of palette. Plus, you get these colors at the bottom, which are really, really interesting with the silver and this shadow and this shadow. Natasha Denona, some of her matte shades, they kind of perform slightly wet and then dry matte. That's the best way I can describe it. But in terms of formulation, she's up there. Like, her palette quality is fantastic. So clearly not going anywhere. Next, I have the Sunset palette. And this is a gorgeous eyeshadow palette. You can see it's been used and abused. There's only one shadow in this palette that I don't particularly like because I feel like the formulation isn't 100% there, and it's this red shade, but every other shade performs beautifully. The shimmer shadows are gorgeous. This is definitely my favorite shimmer, and this is a beautiful everyday eyeshadow palette. Like, sometimes when I pull this into my shop, my stash, I end up using only this eyeshadow palette just because it's very easy to grab and to use. The packaging as well is very sturdy, very durable. This is expensive, but I like the palette. This one is my Sunrise palette. Now this is where it gets funky for me because I haven't used some of these palettes. And these are the smaller ones. And the smaller ones are £60. Not all of them though, but I think they're £60. Anyway. This is just stunning. The shimmer shadows, the matte shadows, absolutely gorgeous. I'm keeping it. Like there's no debating. I'm keeping this palette. She's a keeper. Definitely. Okay. Before we get to the Zendo, because I haven't even opened this one, this is my favorite Natasha Denona palette. And this is the bronze palette. I have talked about this palette so many times on my YouTube, on my social media platforms. This is an everyday palette, the dream, the gorgeousness. The only thing I wish is that there was a black shade. But then every time I say that, I remember that Deep Dive kind of performs like a black shade. It's pretty dark for a brown, and those shimmers are absolutely gorgeous. So fun fact, if you didn't know, you can pop out your shadows from the back if you use something sharp if you wanted to rearrange it. The only downside to rearranging your eyeshadow palette is that those names don't come off. So yeah, but I thought I'd mention it because I know some of you don't know that. And then I have the Love palette, which I haven't used. I have not used her. She has not been used, but she's so pretty. Mauves, purple, amazing quality. I am definitely going to reshuffle my eyeshadow palette collection just to make sure that the palettes that I really want to get some use out of, I put them right on top, my eye level. And the palettes that I'm just keeping because I love them, I'll keep them lower, if that makes sense. Rather than, I don't even know how I arrange them now. I just feel like I arrange them by brand, but then also by height. So probably need to rejig that. But this one, definitely keeping. And the last one is the Zendo palette, which I have not used, but I have swatched. I've swatched one shade in this palette, or two shades actually. I've swatched it. I love the quality of this palette. I haven't used it, but if it's the same quality as the other £60 palettes, then amazing. Definitely amazing. I love the color story. Keeping. Up, I have some eyeshadow palettes from this indie brand called Dito Cosmetics. They sent me some really beautiful eyeshadow palettes, and I've been incredibly busy. I've not been able to kind of like haul them and show you guys. So this is going to be the first time I'm showing you guys these eyeshadow palettes on here. If you follow me on TikTok, you'd have seen them already. But the first one is the Brick Fun palette. Let me just tell you now, I'm keeping them all because I haven't used them and they look so interesting. This is Brick Fun. Just look at that. Like, I don't even want to swatch it yet because I want to be shocked when I use it. So I'm definitely going to be creating a series using these palettes. So this one's called Brick Fun. Looks like an owl. Does it not? Like, tell me this doesn't look like an owl. It definitely does. It's so much fun. So much fun. Good, sturdy quality as well. And then this one is the Neon palette. It comes in a sleeve. And let's get it out. And then when you get it out, it looks like this. And yeah. Ooh, look at those. All matte eyeshadow palette, flawless. I'll probably use this in combination with another palette, probably Brick Fun or something, because that one has a lot of shimmers. But these colors are sweet. So I am excited. I've got so many video ideas. I can't wait to break up for like the holiday period because I feel like I just want to create a makeup tutorial every single day because these palettes are stunning. And then this is the Galaxy Shade palettes. Literally looks like the constellation. Gorgeous. And then the packaging is the same, except now it kind of like, I feel like it picks up way more light than the sleeve. So pretty. And then the inside of the palette, just, oh, fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Okay, mixture of mattes and shimmers and a pressed glitter, from what I can see. So excited for this one as well. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So Dido Cosmetics, please be patient with me. I will. So this is the Venus palette, limited edition. And this one looks so much fun. Beautiful, neutral with those gorgeous colors. That looks like a beautiful wine color. Look at that. That one looks like the sun, but it says Venus. Where is my there we go. So we've got Venus, we've got Moon, Jupiter, Europa, Earth. Earth is that beautiful gold. Anyway, it's a beautiful palette. Beautifully designed. I love that the eyeshadow palettes have a theme and they all stick to it, with the exception of this one called Brick Fun. I believe that is just a fun palette. So keeping all of them. Before we move on to my ABH palettes, let's quickly do my Beauty Bay palettes because I've got some of them here. So the first palette is the Age of Opulence. This is their recent holiday eyeshadow palette. Beauty Bay normally release a palette at this time of the year. Last year was Book of Magic. That one sold and that was it. So they're usually limited edition. So if you want to get them, I would suggest that you get them. This is Age of Opulence, which kind of reminds me of like Book of Magic with Mama Mitchell's collaboration. If they had a baby, they would produce this palette. That's kind of what I feel like, but it does have its own identity. There's so many beautiful blues and purple tones, very, very holiday inspired. Jewel tone colors always scream holiday, party inspired. The Wilderness palette is the one that I said, which one of is it the Morphe palette? Yeah, this is the palette that I said the Morphe Making Bank palette reminds me of. So let's put them side by side. With the exception, this is getting difficult. I can't really do that. But with the exception of the blue tone, I'm trying my best, but it's not working. But anyway, it just reminds me of it. I'm not saying it's identical. There's some shades in the Wilderness palette that are not in the Making Bank palette. But I just feel like, especially the green roll, it just really reminds me of the Morphe palette. The quality of the Beauty Bay palettes are fantastic. Fantastic. Value for money. So inexpensive. You get beautiful formulation, beautiful range of colors as well. So I'm definitely keeping this one. I'm going to struggle to declutter any of my Beauty Bay palettes because, as I said, they're so inexpensive. And at this point, I almost feel like I'm collecting them. Sunset Horizons. This one, I'm not sure if it still exists on their website, but I don't believe this was a limited edition. So what this one looks like, you've got beautiful summer tones at the top, and then you've got like the blues and the purples and more of the grungy colors at the bottom. Definitely keeping this one. Not going anywhere. Keep the infamous Book of Magic I'm afraid you can't get this, but this is what I mean by the age of opulence. This is what I mean by the age of opulence. You know, you can see some family resemblance with this one. But the quality of this palette, I've used this so many times and I love it. I need to use it more. But if you have this, then you struck gold. New Romance was another limited edition one. I believe this came out around Valentine's Day, which looks like this. Very beautiful. This is autumn ready as well. You've got those beautiful neutral tones, but you've got ruby, you've got red, you've got black. So sexy, so effortless. Keeping. Next up, the Mama Mitchell collaboration. This is the Me, Myself, and Mitchell. You would have seen this palette so many times. It comes with two sides and a mirror in between. So this is the first side. I just don't want to, I want to blind you guys. Let's have a look if I can. This is what it looks like. So that's the first side. And that's the second side, which has more of the blues and the greens. Okay, this palette is pretty old, pretty old. I don't see myself getting rid of it because I don't think you can get it. And I feel like this is part of makeup history now. So definitely keeping this one. I'm running out of space now. Definitely keeping that one. And then I have the Nikki Tutorials eyeshadow palette. Mine came broken. And I'm one of those people that, you know, I love things to be perfect when I buy them, like when they get to me. But mine came broken and I've just not been able to get into it. I mean, I've done some swatches. You'd have probably seen this a million times. I've done some swatches of it and I can see that I do like the formulation. I'm just really gutted that it came broken and I still haven't used it. So this is not, in terms of packaging as well, is not one of my favorites from Beauty Bay. But I haven't even used the palette to even know what the formulation is like. So at the moment, I'm going to keep it. And then that's it. No. That's not it for my Beauty Bay. So for Beauty Bay palettes, they also came out with this little collection. They also have some more that I don't have. Those ones recently came out. But this little collection is the Disney Color Collection. And originally, I only wanted to pick up 2 of the eyeshadow palettes, but then when I did the maths, it just made more sense to get the collection than to get the individual colors. So they come like this, 3 mini palettes. So let's quickly go through. I'm keeping all of them because yeah, I haven't used them. They're pretty new to my collection as well. I almost feel like I haven't decluttered anything today. Wow. Okay. Dumbo. Stunning. Grew up with Dumbo. Gorgeous. Gorgeous colors. Definitely one to pick up. And they're so inexpensive, these ones. And I do like the display case as well. The second one I have is Jungle Book. Look for those bare necessities. The simple bare necessities. Yeah, very earthy tones. Love. So pretty. So pretty. Okay. And then the third one is Alice in Wonderland, I believe. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland 1951. This is the one with the colorful cat. That color at the corner, this one here, stunning. Stunning. I haven't used it, but, and they're all mattes. All mattes. And I do love me a good matte look. So let's do the ABH Norvina palettes. And I have them all. Where are my Norvina palettes. So two of them were in my shop, my stash. So the first one is the Norvina OG, and I love the Norvina collection, the ABH Norvina collection. I don't know what people are saying about the quality, blah 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 blah, because that's all I hear when people chat about the quality of these palettes, because they're freaking amazing. The quality is there, so pigmented. Color story is gorgeous. The color story is not cohesive, but then if you really look at the colors, you would know what you want to use. So, just step outside the box and have fun with color, you know? So that's number one. She isn't going anywhere. And then we have number two, which looks like this. This is a very fun one. You've got some very eclectic colors in this one, very bright looking colors. You've got blues, greens, very, very stunning. Definitely like this one. Not going anywhere. Plus, they're made so well. And then this is number three. This one is very warm, very fall inspired, very autumn inspired. I've used this one probably more than the rest because it has so many colors that I personally like to use. Very gorgeous. So that's number three. And then number four is the very pretty one. This was a birthday gift from my friend, and she has been loved a lot, used a lot. Beautiful, everyday, warm, rose gold, browns, pinks. Oh, just a girly girl's dream. I love this one. Love it. And then the last one, which is probably my personal favorite, is the purple. This one was done so well. The taste level on this one is fantastic. Those mauve tones, those purple tones, those browns, everything works so well with this palette. I can't even complain. If Norvina comes out with more of these palettes, you best believe that I'll be purchasing it. Next up, I've got some Sample Beauty palettes. So this is the Sample Beauty and Beth Painter collaboration. The sleeve is exactly the same. It's the packaging. And it is a very beautiful, I would say it's a um, dark, what's the word that I'm looking for? Oh, I'll say it's a dark rainbow type of eyeshadow palette that kind of gears towards an everyday type of palette as well. When you look at the bottom row, you can see that's like everyday use, and then you can pop some colors on your eyes when you're doing your look. So I kind of like how it was curated that anyone could actually use it. So you could use color in little bits, or you could really go ham with the color. And then this is the Equalizer Volume 2. I don't have Volume 1. Personally, I think I'm happy with my Sample Beauty palettes, unless if they come out with something mind-blowing. I'm pretty satisfied with these two palettes. So this one has purples, you've got those browns, yellow, golds, very, very pretty. The eyeshadow shades, some of them are a little bit putty, like the putty formula that I don't really like, but they perform really well and they don't crack. So I'm not mad at it. Let's do some Made by Mitchell palettes. So he came out with his own brand, I want to say this year or last year, and I do have a video of that on my YouTube channel. And he came out initially with two eyeshadow palettes. The first one being Head in the Clouds, which literally looks like him in the clouds, which I love. And oh, Mitchell does color. Like if there's any influencer or content creator that's come out with their brand and the brand literally screams the person's personality, it's made by Mitchell. So he took his personality and just spat on the page, because like on his idea page, because these palettes mimic him to a T. And then this one is Feet on the Ground. This is definitely my personal favorite because your girl likes green. I feel like Mitchell knows that I like green. And this is what it looks like. Beautiful. Khaki colors, gorgeous shimmers, very, very stunning. Plus, you've got that all essential black. Not going anywhere. Okay. He did come out with, I want to say it's an accompanying palette, because it says volume 1. So I do have a feeling he's coming out with more of these palettes. Maybe he has already. And this is what this one looks like. There's some shades in both palettes that would benefit from having this as a complementary palette. Those shimmers as well. Disrespectful. Keeping. And then these three, I've got Be Perfect palettes. But before we get into that, do want to show you my NYX Utopia palette. Finally have this palette. I've been wanting it for ages, but I wasn't willing to pay the £35 that NYX was selling it for. So I waited for it to come to Beauty Bay. Beauty Bay did sales on it. And then I picked it up. I did try to pick it up from ASOS, but it came smashed. So I just waited for Beauty Bay. That one's not going anywhere because it's actually one of the eyeshadow palettes that I love. Another palette that is in my Shop My Stash and I didn't get to show you guys is my Natasha Denona Glam palette, which looks like this. I have finally broken her out and used her in a few looks. Very cool tone. Love the color story. Very, very gorgeous shimmers. Natasha Denona formula is amazing. This one, wicked. Okay. Now let's look at the last three palettes. The first one is the Clientele Ja palette, which is gorgeous. But I feel like I've got these tones over and over. So you've got those browns, you've got those ruby colors, you've got, I mean, the formulation of Be Perfect shadows is fantastic. But I do have these colors over and over. So sadly, I think I am going to part ways. I'm going to part ways with this one. Like, who am I? I'm actually decluttering. And then I've got the Dream Big Manifest eyeshadow palette, which came after the smaller one was released. This is what the packaging looks like. Very fun, very colorful. And I am yet to use this one on my eyes. I do believe that I've swatched a few colors, but I'm actually yet to apply it to my eyes. But the formulation looks so much fun. It looks very interesting. I feel like some of these shadows are quirky. They're going to perform differently. And I like the message behind the palette. So I'm definitely going to keep this one. We'll get rid of the packaging. And then I've got the Manifest palette, which was one that came out first. And I'm still yet to use this one. I'm yet to use it, but it looks like this. Oh no, I take it back. I have used it. I remember I pulled this into a Shop My Stash, maybe. I don't know at this rate. I mean, I have so many. But it's gorgeous, isn't it? Again, very interesting shades. The colors are stunning. I wish that color called 10-Second Tan was a little browner, but we move. Gorgeous palette still. Okay, so let me put back all the eyeshadow palettes except for the two Morphe palettes that I said we'll come back to. And then I'm going to count how many eyeshadow palettes I'm keeping. I mean, I'm only decluttering 3 palettes, which is pretty poor. But I'm hoping that in the last video I will declutter a little bit more, because that's where I keep some of my bigger palettes that I kind of need to get rid of. But obviously this section has always been difficult for me, because that has my favorite bigger, like medium sized palettes. So I'm making excuses. Anyway, let me put them back and then count how many in total. All right, so these are my eyeshadow palettes. Please don't bother looking at how it's arranged at the moment, because I'm gonna have a full a range of all the eyeshadow palettes at the end of the last part. But right now I have 54 that are on the shelves, and I am decluttering 3. So we've got these 2 palettes to look at again. This one is the 18S, which I'm gonna this one is the 18S, which I'm gonna hang on to for now until we get to the final part, because I feel like there is a Morphe palette that reminds me of it. And then Making Bank, I'm just gonna keep it. So that's 56 for now, but it might get decluttered when I do the final part. So 56 eyeshadow palettes, and I'm getting rid of 3. Not the best. Definitely done better, but I already knew this would be difficult. But yeah, if you enjoyed at least seeing the eyeshadow palettes and hearing me talk about them, then definitely give this video a thumbs up. I am excited to record the final part of this declutter series so I can move on to the other categories. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, God doesn't like ugly. Be nice to someone today, and Black lives always matter. And I'll catch you in a future video. Thanks for watching. Bye.